Jake Morrison pressed his back against the cold metal wall and held his breath. The special suit he wore made him almost invisible, but he still needed to be careful. One wrong move and the aliens would find him. Then he would be dead. He had been hiding in this place for 3 hours now. The Zephyrian space station was huge, bigger than any human city. Jake had never seen anything like it before. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols covered every surface. The air smelled like flowers mixed with metal. Jake was a soldier. He had fought in many battles across the galaxy. But this mission was different. He was not here to fight. He was here to listen and learn. The human government wanted to know what the aliens were planning. They sent Jake because he was the best at staying hidden. The suit Jake wore was special. 3 years ago, an alien scout ship had crashed on Earth. Human scientists studied the ship and found amazing technology. They learned how to make things invisible. The suit used that alien technology to bend light around Jake's body. To anyone looking, he was just empty space. But the suit was not perfect. It needed a lot of power. Jake only had 6 hours before the battery died. After that, everyone would see him. He needed to finish his mission fast. Jake moved slowly down the long hallway. His boots made no sound on the smooth floor. The gravity here was lighter than Earth. It made walking feel strange, like he was floating. He had trained for months to move properly in different gravity. Now that training was keeping him alive. The hallway led to a big round room. Jake stopped at the entrance and looked inside. What he saw made his heart beat faster. There were aliens everywhere. Not just one kind, but many different types. Some looked like giant insects. Others had too many arms or legs. Some seemed to be made of pure energy. Jake recognized some of them from human databases. The tall ones with crystal skin were Zephyrians. They controlled this part of space. The huge creatures with 4 arms were Korath. Humans had fought them before. The floating energy beings were called Veiltar. They were supposed to be peaceful. Jake counted 12 different alien species in the room. This was unusual. These aliens never worked together. They often fought each other for territory and resources. So why were they all here now? Jake found a dark corner where he could hide and watch. He activated his translation device. The small machine in his ear would change the alien words into English. It was another piece of technology humans had stolen and improved. A tall Zephyrian walked to the center of the room. His crystal body glowed brighter than the others. Jake's database identified him as Supreme Chancellor Crixtal. He was one of the most powerful aliens in the galaxy. "Welcome, friends," Crixtal said. His voice sounded like breaking glass. "Today, we discuss the human problem." Jake felt cold fear run down his spine. The human problem. What did that mean? The humans spread. "Too fast," said a Korath general. His voice was deep and rough. "They take our worlds. They steal our resources. They must be stopped." An energy being floated forward. This was a Veiltar called the Whisper. Humans thought these aliens were wise and peaceful. But the Whisper's next words changed everything. "We have been watching the humans for 5 years," the Whisper said. Her voice was soft but scary. "They are dangerous. More dangerous than we first thought. They learn too quickly. They adapt too fast. If we wait longer, they will become too strong to stop." Jake could not believe what he was hearing. These aliens had been watching humans for years. They thought humans were dangerous. But why? A huge insect alien clicked her mandibles. This was the hexapod queen, Her species controlled dozens of worlds. "The humans are like a disease," she said. "They spread from world to world. They change everything they touch. They make other species work for them. Even some of our own people have started to like human ideas." Jake realized what was happening. These aliens were not just talking about humans. They were planning something bad. Chancellor Krixtal raised one crystal hand. The room became quiet. "My friends, we all agree that humans are a threat," he said, "but they are still weak. They have only been in space for 50 years. They have small fleets and few colonies. Now is the time to act." "What do you suggest?" asked the Korath general. "Complete elimination," Krixtal said simply. "We remove them from the galaxy forever." Jake's blood turned to ice. They were talking about killing all humans, every man, woman, and child. This was not just war. This was genocide. "How?" asked the hexapod queen. "The humans have spread to many worlds. They have allies among some species." "We have been preparing," said the whisper. "For 2 years we have been setting traps. We give them false star maps. We lead their ships into dangerous areas. We release diseases on their farm worlds. We make it look like accidents." Jake thought about the recent disasters. The colony ship that disappeared near the Void Nebula, the crop failures on 3 agricultural worlds, the trade convoy that was destroyed by pirates. These were not accidents. They were attacks. "Phase 1 is almost complete," continued the whisper. "We have weakened them, made them scared, made them doubt themselves. Now we begin Phase 2. "What is Phase 2? asked an alien Jake did not recognize. Chancellor Krixtal smiled. It was a terrible sight. His crystal teeth glowed like stars. "Direct action," he said. "In 6 months, during their Galactic Alignment Festival, we strike every human world at the same time. We have weapons they cannot fight, technology they do not understand. We will end the human species in 1 day." The room erupted in sounds of approval. Aliens clicked, roared, and hummed their agreement. Jake felt sick. These creatures were planning the murder of his entire species. "What about witnesses?" asked the Korath general. "Other species will ask questions." "There will be no witnesses," said the hexapod queen. "We have created a special weapon, a nanoplague that only kills humans. It will look like a natural disease, a mutation of some common virus. Other species will feel sorry for the humans, but they will not suspect us." Jake recorded every word. His suit had hidden cameras and microphones. This evidence would prove the conspiracy, if he could get home alive. The meeting continued for another hour. Jake learned about weapons, plans, and timetables. He learned which species were helping and which ones knew nothing. By the time the aliens finished talking, Jake knew that humanity had 6 months to live, unless someone warned them first. Chancellor Krixtal moved to the center of the chamber. His crystal body glowed brighter as he prepared to reveal the final phase of their plan. Jake Morrison held his breath and made sure his recording devices were working perfectly. What he was about to hear would determine the fate of his entire species. "My friends," Krixtal began, "we have spent years weakening the humans. We have made them doubt themselves. We have isolated them from potential allies. We have studied their weaknesses. Now it is time for the final solution." The alien leader activated a massive holographic display. It showed the entire human territory in the galaxy. Dozens of worlds glowed with soft blue light. Each one represented millions of human lives. In exactly 6 months and 12 days, the humans will celebrate their Galactic Alignment Festival, Crixtal explained. This is their biggest holiday. Every human world participates. Their military will be on reduced alert. Their leaders will gather on Earth for ceremonies. Their people will be distracted by parties and celebrations. Jake felt ice in his veins. The Galactic Alignment Festival was indeed a major human holiday. It happened only once every 7 years when Earth, the Moon, and several key colonies aligned with the galactic center. It was a time of peace and unity for all humans. During this festival, we will strike every human world simultaneously, Crixtal continued. Not one will be spared. Not one will be warned. In the span of a single day, the human species will cease to exist. The holographic display changed to show attack routes. Red lines appeared from alien territory, converging on human worlds like arrows aimed at the heart. The planning was incredibly detailed. Every human colony, every space station, every mining outpost was marked for destruction. "How will we ensure complete elimination?" asked the Korath commander. "Humans are spread across many worlds. Some colonies are hidden. Some humans live on alien worlds among other species." The Veil Tar whisper floated forward. Her energy form pulsed with anticipation. "We have created the perfect weapon," she said. "A nanoplague that targets human DNA specifically. It will spread through air, water, and physical contact. Any human who breathes it will die within hours." Jake's blood turned cold. A genetic weapon was humanity's worst nightmare, something that could kill only humans while leaving other species completely safe. "The plague is invisible and odorless," the whisper continued. "Humans will not know they are infected until it is too late. By then it will have spread to everyone they have contacted. Within 1 week, every human in the galaxy will be dead." "What about humans living on alien worlds?" asked the Hexapod Queen. "There are human traders, diplomats, and researchers scattered throughout the galaxy." "Already handled," said a new voice. Jake turned to see a creature he had not noticed before. It looked like a walking shadow with glowing red eyes. His database identified it as a umbral, one of the most secretive species in the galaxy. "My people have been mapping every human in alien space," the umbral said. "We know where they live, where they work, where they travel. Special agents will visit each location during the festival. The plague will be released everywhere humans might be found." Jake realized the scope of this conspiracy was even larger than he had thought. These aliens had been preparing for genocide on a galactic scale. They had planned for every possibility, every hiding place, every escape route. "What about human ships in deep space?" asked the Brutari general. "Explorer vessels, cargo haulers, military patrols. Some might escape to warn others." Chancellor Crixtal smiled his terrible crystal smile. "The Korath fleet will handle space-based humans," he said. "Our warships are already moving into position. We have been tracking every human vessel for months. When the plague is released on their worlds, we will simultaneously destroy every human ship." The display showed the positions of Korath fleets throughout the galaxy. They had been secretly moving warships for months, disguising their movements as training exercises and trade missions. Now Jake could see the real purpose. They had surrounded human space completely. "The beauty of our plan is its simplicity," Crixtal continued. "The plague will look like a natural disease, a mutation of some common virus. Other species will mourn the tragic loss of humanity, but they will not suspect murder." "What if some species investigate too closely?" asked the cautious Skritin. What if they discover the plague was artificial? Then we blame someone else, laughed the hexapod queen. We have prepared evidence that points to the void hunters from outside, the galaxy. Or perhaps the humans created the plague themselves as a weapon that got out of control. There are many possible explanations. Jake felt sick as he listened to these creatures plan the murder of his species. They had thought of everything. They had backups for their backups. They had spent years preparing for this moment. How long? Will the plague last? Asked the Viperian. Will it affect human bodies after death? The plague burns out after 2 weeks, explained the Whisper. By then, all humans will be dead. The virus will disappear, leaving no trace. Human worlds will be empty but perfectly safe for colonization. Which brings us to the division of territory, said Chancellor Crickstall. The display changed again, showing how human space would be carved up among the alien species. Jake watched in horror as his people's worlds were traded like commodities. Earth itself would go to the Zephyrians. The agricultural worlds would be claimed by the hexapods. The mining colonies would belong to the Brutari. Every human achievement would be erased and replaced. What about human technology? Asked the Arion. Some of their innovations might be useful. We have already stolen everything worthwhile, said the Prismatic. Human computers, human medicine, human engineering techniques. Our agents have been copying their research for years. After they are gone, we will continue to benefit from their work. Jake realized that even human creativity would be stolen and claimed by their killers. These aliens would use human discoveries, while pretending they had invented them. It was the ultimate insult to his species. There is one final concern, said the Umbral. What if the humans somehow learn of our plan? What if they prepare defenses? Impossible, declared Chancellor Crickstall. Human intelligence is primitive. Their security is laughable. They trust everyone and suspect no one. Our secret is completely safe. The other aliens murmured agreement. They were confident that humans could never discover their conspiracy. They had no idea that a human agent was sitting in their most secure chamber, recording every word they spoke. Besides, added the Korath commander, even if humans somehow learned of our plan, what could they do? They are weak and divided. Their military is small. Their technology is primitive. They could not stop us even if they tried. The human problem will be solved forever, concluded Chancellor Crickstall. In 6 months they will celebrate their last festival. They will never see the next sunrise. The galaxy will finally be free of their contamination. The chamber erupted in cheers and roars of approval. Aliens clicked, howled, and hummed their satisfaction. They were already celebrating the genocide they planned to commit. Jake continued recording as the aliens discussed final details. Times, coordinates, backup plans, communication protocols, everything a human defense force would need to stop this attack. But first, Jake had to escape this place alive, and with 6 months to prepare, he prayed it would be enough time to save his species from extinction. The aliens had planned the perfect crime, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humans one last time, and this time, that mistake would cost them everything. Jake Morrison stayed perfectly still as the alien council continued their meeting. What he heard next made him understand how deep this conspiracy really was. These aliens had been planning to kill humans for years. Commander Veltash of the Korath stepped forward. He was huge, even for his species. His forearms were covered in scars from many battles. When he spoke, his voice filled the room like thunder. Let me tell you what we have done to the humans, Veltash said. For 3 years, my people have been giving them false star charts. We tell them about wonderful new worlds to explore, but these worlds are death traps. He activated a holographic display. Jake watched in horror as images appeared in the air. They showed human colony ships flying into asteroid fields. The rocks smashed the ships like toys. He saw other ships entering, areas of deadly radiation. The crews died slowly and painfully. The humans think they are just unlucky, Veltash laughed. It was an ugly sound. They do not know we are leading them to their deaths. We have destroyed 15 colony ships this way. That is 30,000 humans who will never reach their new homes. Jake felt anger burning in his chest. Those were not just numbers. Those were families, children, people looking for a better life, and these aliens had murdered them for sport. The whisper floated closer to the display. Her energy form pulsed with different colors. My people have been more subtle, she said. Her voice was like music, but Jake could hear the evil underneath. We do not kill humans directly. We make them kill each other. New images appeared. Jake saw human diplomats meeting with alien leaders, but something was wrong with the humans. Their eyes looked strange, empty. We use our mental powers to control human minds, the whisper explained. We make their diplomats say stupid things. We make them insult other species. We make them demand too much territory. Then those species get angry at humans. Jake remembered recent news reports. Human ambassadors had caused several diplomatic incidents. They had made unreasonable demands from peaceful aliens. Some of those aliens had stopped trading with humans. Others had banned human ships from their space. The humans think their diplomats are just bad at their jobs. The whisper continued. They do not know we are controlling their minds. Soon humans will have no friends left in the galaxy. When we attack them, no one will help. The hexapod queen moved to the center of the room. Her 6 legs clicked on the crystal floor. Her huge, compound eyes looked at each alien in turn. My contribution has been the most effective, she said proudly. We have been poisoning human food supplies. Jake's hands clenched into fists. He remembered the reports from the agricultural worlds. Crops failing for unknown reasons. Livestock dying from mysterious diseases. Millions of humans going hungry. We created special bioweapons, the Queen explained. Viruses that only attack human food plants. Bacteria that kill human livestock. But they leave other species alone. The humans think it is natural disease. They have no idea we are starving them. The Queen's mandibles clicked with pleasure. The humans are getting weaker. Their people are hungry. Their colonies need more and more food from Earth. This makes them desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. Jake realized how clever this plan was. By attacking human food, the aliens were not just causing hunger. They were forcing humans to concentrate their resources. Colonies that could not feed themselves had to depend on supply ships from Earth. This made humans predictable. Easy to attack. A new alien spoke up. This one looked like a walking tree with too many branches. Jake's database identified it as a Sylvani. Humans had always thought the Sylvani were peaceful plant lovers. We have been studying human technology, the tree alien said. Its voice sounded like wind through leaves. We know all their weaknesses. Their ships are slow and clumsy. Their weapons are primitive. Their armor cannot stop our energy beams. But they learn fast, warned another alien. This one looked like a giant lizard with wings. Too fast. Every year their technology gets better. In 10 years they might be as advanced as us. Which is "Why we must act now," said Chancellor Crickstall, "before they become too dangerous to stop." The crystal alien activated another display. This one showed detailed plans of human colonies. Jake could see streets, buildings, even individual homes. The level of detail was frightening. "We have agents on every human world," Crickstall explained. "Some are aliens disguised as humans. Others are humans we have bribed or threatened. They report everything back to us. We know where humans live, work, and play. We know their schedules, their weaknesses, their fears." Jake felt cold fear creep up his spine. There were alien spies everywhere in human space. People he might know. People he might trust. How many humans were working for the enemy without even knowing it? "The humans trust too easily," said an alien that looked like a floating jellyfish. "They think other species are like them. They think everyone wants peace and friendship. They do not understand that some species only respect strength. Their weakness will be their doom," agreed the Korath commander. "They try to solve problems with words instead of weapons. They make treaties instead of taking what they want. They are too soft to survive in this galaxy." Jake wanted to laugh, but he stayed quiet. These aliens had no idea how wrong they were. They had never seen humans in a real war. They had never seen what humans could do when their families were threatened. They were about to learn. But first, Jake had to survive long enough to warn his people. The meeting continued with more details about the conspiracy. Jake learned that the aliens had been preparing for this war longer than humans had been in space. They had weapons designed specifically to kill humans, ships built to hunt human vessels, diseases created to wipe out human colonies. They had studied human psychology and found ways to cause panic and despair. They knew which human leaders to target first. They knew which colonies were most important. They had planned everything down to the smallest detail. "In 6 months during their festival, humans will be celebrating," said Chancellor Crickstall. "Their guard will be down. Their fleets will be scattered. Their leaders will be gathered in one place. It will be the perfect time to strike. What tea?" "About the human military?" asked the Korath commander. "They have good soldiers." "Good soldiers with bad equipment," laughed the hexapod queen. "And not very many of them. The humans prefer to spend money on hospitals and schools instead of weapons. They think peace will last forever." Jake almost smiled. These aliens had been watching humans for years, but they still understood nothing. They saw human kindness as weakness. They saw human cooperation as foolishness. They had no idea what humans were really capable of. The aliens spent another hour discussing their plans. They talked about which human worlds to attack first. They argued about how to divide human territory after the war. They planned parades to celebrate human extinction. Through it all, Jake recorded everything. His suits, memory banks captured every word, every image, every detail. This evidence would save his species, if he could get home alive. The Alien Council meeting was ending. Jake Morrison had recorded everything he needed, but now came the most dangerous part of his mission. He had to escape from the most secure facility in alien space without being detected. Jake slowly backed, away from the chamber as the aliens began to leave. His cloaking suit was still working, but the power indicator showed only 30 minutes of battery life remaining. After that, he would become visible to everyone on the station. The hallways, filled with aliens heading to different parts of the massive station. Jake pressed himself against the walls as Korath warriors stomped past. Their 4 arms swung as they walked, and their heavy footsteps shook the floor. One wrong move and they would crush him without even knowing he was there. A group of Veiltar floated by, their energy forms crackling with different colors. Jake held his breath as one of them paused near his hiding spot. The alien's energy field pulsed, and Jake felt a strange tingling sensation. For a moment, he thought the Veiltar had detected him, but the alien moved on without raising an alarm. Jake made his way through the station using the route he had memorized during his infiltration. The Zephyrian station was built like a giant crystal flower, with dozens of levels connected by curved passages. Jake had studied the blueprints for weeks before his mission, but seeing the real thing was overwhelming. He reached the first checkpoint without trouble. 2 Brutari guards stood at a security gate, scanning everyone who passed through. Their bone-covered skin looked like natural armor, and their small red eyes missed nothing. Jake crept past them by following a group of insectoid aliens. The guards were focused on the larger creatures and did not notice the empty space moving beside them. The second checkpoint was more difficult. Automated scanners swept the area with invisible energy beams. Jake had to time his movements perfectly to avoid the scanning pattern. He crawled under the sensors while they pointed in other directions, moving like a spider across the crystal floor. His suit's power indicator now showed 20 minutes remaining. Jake felt sweat running down his face inside his helmet. The recycled air tasted stale and metallic. He was running out of time. Jake reached the maintenance section of the station. This area was mostly empty, used only by repair crews and automated systems. The walls here were plain metal instead of decorative crystal. Pipes and cables ran along the ceiling like mechanical veins. He found the ventilation shaft he had used to enter the station. The opening was just large enough for a human to crawl through. Jake squeezed inside and began moving through the tight space. The metal walls pressed against his shoulders, and every sound seemed impossibly loud. Halfway through the shaft, disaster struck. Jake's elbow hit a loose panel, and it fell with a loud clang. The sound echoed through the ventilation system like a bell. Jake froze, listening for any response. Footsteps approached from somewhere below. Heavy Korath boots on metal floor. Voices spoke in their rough language. Jake's translator picked up fragments of conversation. What was that noise? Probably just the ventilation system. These old stations make all kinds of sounds. Should we investigate? If you want to crawl through dirty air shafts looking for loose panels, be my guest. I have better things to do. The footsteps moved away. Jake waited 5 full minutes before continuing. His power indicator now showed 12 minutes remaining. Jake reached the end of the ventilation shaft and emerged in a cargo bay. Huge containers filled the space, marked with symbols from dozens of different worlds. Some contained food, others held manufactured goods or raw materials. The smell of exotic spices mixed with industrial chemicals. Jake's ship was hidden in a storage area 3 levels down. He had disguised it as a damaged cargo pod, complete with fake shipping labels and rust stains. The Zephyrians had ignored it completely, assuming it was worthless junk waiting to be recycled. Jake made his way to the cargo elevators. The massive platforms could carry entire shuttles between levels. He waited for one to arrive, then slipped aboard as a group of loading mechs entered. The mechanical workers did not have organic sensors, so they could not detect his presence. The elevator descended through the station's core. Jake watched alien workers loading and unloading cargo through the transparent walls. None of them knew that a human spy was recording their activities. None of them suspected that their secret war plans had already been discovered. The elevator reached Jake's level with 8 minutes of power remaining. He slipped off behind the mechs and headed toward his ship's hiding place. The storage area was darker than the rest of the station, lit only by emergency strips along the floor. Jake found his ship exactly where he had left it. The UES Shadow looked like a piece of space junk from the outside, but inside it contained some of the most advanced technology in human space. The hull was covered with sensor-absorbing paint that made it nearly invisible to alien detection systems. Jake climbed into the cockpit and began the startup sequence. The ship's systems came online silently, powered by an experimental fusion core that produced almost no heat signature. The engines were based on alien gravity manipulation technology, stolen and improved by human engineers. The hardest part was getting out of the station without being detected. Jake had to time his departure perfectly. Too early, and the aliens might notice an unauthorized ship leaving. Too late, and his cloaking suit would fail while he was still inside the station. Jake waited for a group of cargo ships to depart. As they powered up their engines, he slipped the Shadow out of its hiding place and joined the formation. To any watching sensors, he would look like one more cargo hauler heading out to make deliveries. The ships passed through the station's departure gate without challenge. The automated systems logged their passage and wished them safe travels. None of the computers realized that one of the ships was not supposed to be there. Once clear of the station, Jake broke away from the cargo convoy and headed toward dark space. The Shadow's navigation system plotted a course through unmapped regions where alien patrols never went. The journey home would take 3 days, but Jake would be safe from pursuit. 2 minutes after leaving the station, Jake's cloaking suit finally ran out of power. He became visible again, but it no longer mattered. He was alone in his ship, surrounded by the empty void between stars. Jake set the autopilot and began reviewing his recordings. The evidence was clear and undeniable. 12. Alien species were planning to commit genocide against humanity. They had weapons, plans, and timetables. In 6 months, they would attempt to wipe out every human in the galaxy. But they had made one critical mistake. They had let a human overhear their secret plans. Now humanity would have time to prepare, time to plan, time to show these aliens what humans were really capable of when their survival was threatened. Jake opened a secure communication channel to Earth. The message would take hours to reach home, but every minute counted. His people needed to know what they were facing. Priority Alpha message to Earth Defense Command. Jake spoke into his recorder. This is Agent Morrison reporting successful completion of intelligence mission. I have evidence of imminent threat to human survival. Recommend immediate mobilization of all defensive resources. He paused, thinking about everything he had witnessed. The arrogance of the aliens, their complete underestimation of human capabilities, their certainty that they would win an easy victory. The enemy believes we are weak and primitive, Jake continued. They think they know everything about us. They are wrong. I repeat, they are very wrong. Morrison out. Jake sent the message and settled back in his pilot seat. The Shadow flew silently through the darkness, carrying the most important intelligence in human history. In 3 days, the war would begin. But this time, humanity would be ready. The aliens wanted to eliminate the human problem. Instead, they were about to discover that they had created a much bigger problem for themselves. They had threatened the wrong species, and now they would learn why that was the last mistake they would ever make. Jake Morrison's ship, the UES Shadow, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Earth hung in the distance like a blue jewel against the black of space. Jake had never been so happy to see his home world. The moment His ship entered human space. Military vessels surrounded him. Earth Defense Force fighters escorted the Shadow to Luna Station, the massive military base on the moon. Jake did not mind the heavy security. What he carried was more important than his own life. Admiral Lisa Hayes was waiting for him in the station's main briefing room. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Jake had worked with her before on classified missions. She was one of the few people who knew about his infiltration of alien space. "Report, Commander Morrison," Admiral Hayes said as Jake entered the room. Jake placed a data crystal on the table between them. The small device contained every recording he had made during his mission. "Admiral, we have a problem," Jake began. "The aliens are planning to kill every human in the galaxy, all of them, and they plan to do it in 6 months. Admiral Hayes picked up the data crystal and inserted it into a secure reader. Jake's recordings began to play on the wall screen. For the next 2 hours, they watched the Alien Council meeting, in complete silence. When the recordings ended, Admiral Hayes sat back in her chair. Her face was pale, but determined. "How reliable is this intelligence?" she asked. 100% confirmed, Jake replied. "I was in the room when they made these plans. Every word is true." Admiral Hayes activated her communication system. "Emergency Protocol 7, she announced. "All department heads to report to Conference Room Alpha immediately. This is not a drill." Within 30 minutes, the most important people in human space had gathered at Luna Station. Some attended in person, others appeared as holograms from distant colonies. The Colonial Council, military commanders, intelligence chiefs, and scientific advisors all waited to hear Jake's report. Admiral Hayes stood before the assembled group. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face the greatest threat in human history. Commander, Morrison has discovered a conspiracy involving 12 alien species. They plan to exterminate our entire species during the Galactic Alignment Festival." The room erupted in shocked voices. Council members demanded details. Military officers asked about enemy capabilities. Scientists wanted to know about the alien weapons. "Quiet!" Admiral Hayes shouted. "Let Commander Morrison explain what he discovered." Jake stood and activated the holographic display. The Alien Council chamber appeared in the center of the room. Then he began to tell his story. For 3 hours, Jake described everything he had witnessed. The alien conspiracy, their weapons and plans, their complete underestimation of human capabilities, their confidence that humans would be easy to destroy. Captain Ryan Burke of the Colonial Marines was the first to speak when Jake finished. "We should strike first," Burke declared. "Hit them before they can attack us. Destroy their fleets and weapons before they know we discovered their plans." "That would be a mistake," said Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of the Xenobiology Research Division. "We would be fighting 12 species at once. Even if we won, the cost would be enormous." "What do you suggest?" asked Admiral Hayes. Dr. Rodriguez smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "We use their arrogance against them," she said. "These aliens think they know everything about us, but they are using information that is years out of date. They have no idea what we are really capable of." Jake nodded in agreement. "The aliens still think we use chemical rockets and metal bullets. They do not know about our gravity drives or plasma weapons. They think our cloaking technology is primitive, but I use their own stolen tech to spy on them." "What else do they not know?" asked Admiral Hayes. Dr. Rodriguez activated another display. It showed human colonies throughout the galaxy, but these were not the ones marked on public star charts. "The aliens think we have 47 colonies," she explained. "The real number is 138. We have been building hidden settlements for 20 years. Secret research stations, military bases, mining operations. The aliens know nothing about them." Jake stared at the display in amazement. He had thought he knew about all human activities in space, but these colonies were completely unknown to him. "We also have allies the aliens do not suspect," continued Dr. Rodriguez. "The Andromedans from outside the galaxy, the deep swimmers from the ocean worlds, the silicon mines from the computer planets, species that the main galactic powers ignore or dismiss." General Patricia Stone of the Space Marines leaned forward. "What about our military capabilities? How do we compare to their forces?" "On paper, they are stronger," admitted Admiral Hayes. "But paper does not win wars. We have advantages they cannot imagine. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable. Our weapons are more accurate. Our soldiers are better trained. Most importantly," added Dr. Rodriguez, "we have been studying them longer than they have been studying us. We know their weaknesses, their fears, their blind spots. We know exactly how to hurt them." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Dr. Rodriguez was talking about things he had never heard of. How much had been hidden from him? How many secrets did humanity have? "There is something else," Dr. Rodriguez continued. "We have been developing a counterweapon to their nanoplague. If they try to use biological warfare against us, we can turn it back on them. Every species in their alliance could be infected with their own weapon. But we will not use it unless they force us to," Admiral Hayes said firmly. "We are not monsters like them. We will only fight to defend ourselves and our allies." The meeting continued for hours. Plans were made, resources were assigned, orders were given. Jake watched in amazement as humanity prepared for the greatest war in galactic history. "What is our overall strategy?" asked Council President Martha Washington. Admiral Hayes stood and faced the group. "We call it Operation Mirror Shield. The aliens expect us to panic when they attack. Instead, we will be ready. We will turn their own plans against them. When they think they are destroying us, we will be destroying them." "How?" asked Captain Burke. "By letting them think they are winning," Dr. Rodriguez explained. "We will fake our own destruction. Make them believe their plague worked. Then, when they move in to claim our territory, we will reveal the truth. Their fleets will be scattered, their defenses will be down, and we will be waiting for them." Jake realized the brilliance of the plan. The aliens would attack expecting easy victory. Instead, they would find themselves trapped and surrounded by an enemy they thought was already dead. "What about the timeline?" asked General Stone. "We have 6 months to prepare," Admiral Hayes replied. "That is more time than we have ever had. Before a major operation, we will use every day wisely. Commander Morrison," Admiral Hayes turned to Jake, "you will lead a special intelligence unit. Your mission is to infiltrate alien space again. We need you to monitor their preparations and report any changes to their plans." Jake nodded. "Yes, Admiral, but this time I will not be going alone." "Explain." "The aliens are confident their security is perfect. They will not be watching for more human agents. A small team could gather intelligence from multiple sources, maybe even sabotage some of their preparations." Admiral Hayes smiled. "Approved. Choose your team carefully. The fate of our species may depend on what you discover." As the meeting ended, Jake felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The next 6 months would determine whether humanity survived or disappeared forever. But for the first time since discovering the alien conspiracy, he felt hopeful. The aliens thought they knew everything about humans. They were about to learn how wrong they were, and Jake would be there to watch their faces when they realized their perfect plan had become their greatest mistake. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison discovered the alien conspiracy. Today was the day the aliens had chosen to eliminate humanity forever. But they were about to receive the greatest surprise in galactic history. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, one of humanity's new stealth cruisers. Through the view screen, he could see the Zephyrian homeworld glowing like a crystal in the darkness. Around him, his crew monitored alien communications with growing excitement. "All alien fleets are moving into position," reported Lieutenant Susan Chen from the communications station. "They still believe their plan is secret." Jake smiled grimly. For 6 months, his intelligence teams had been watching the aliens prepare for their attack. The enemy had no idea that humans knew exactly what was coming. On human worlds throughout the galaxy, the Galactic Alignment Festival was beginning as planned. Cities sparkled with celebration lights. Families gathered for traditional meals. Children played in the streets while their parents watched fireworks in the sky. But these were not normal celebrations. Every human in the galaxy knew what was really happening. They were acting out the greatest deception in history. "Incoming transmission from Admiral Hayes," announced the communications officer. Admiral Hayes appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Jake could see the command center of Luna Station buzzing with activity. "All units, this is Control," Admiral Hayes began. "The enemy believes we are helpless and celebrating. They are about to learn otherwise. Operation Mirror Shield is now active. All teams report status." Across the galaxy, human commanders responded. Each fleet was in position. Each colony was ready. Every human settlement had become a trap waiting to spring. "Alien attack fleets detected approaching human space," reported another voice. "Estimated. Time to weapons range, 30 minutes. Jake switched his screen to show the tactical display. Red dots representing alien warships were converging on blue dots representing human worlds. It looked like humanity was about to be destroyed, but appearances could be deceiving. "Biological warfare deployment detected," announced Dr. Elena Rodriguez from her laboratory on Earth. "The aliens are releasing their nanoplague on 17 human worlds simultaneously." On the screen, Jake watched the alien plan unfold exactly as he had recorded 6 months ago. Special ships approached human colonies and released invisible clouds of death. The plague was designed to kill every human it touched within hours. "Now we find out if our countermeasures work," Admiral Hayes said quietly. Jake held his breath as the first reports came in from the affected worlds. New Tokyo. "Colony reporting successful deployment of neutralization fields," came a voice from the outer rim. "The plague is being contained and destroyed before it can spread." "Harvest Moon Settlement confirms plague neutralization," reported another colony. "No human casualties detected." One by one, human colonies reported the same result. The alien plague was being stopped by defensive systems the enemy knew nothing about. Technology based on their own bioweapons turned against them. But the aliens could not see these defenses working. As far as they knew, their plague was spreading exactly as planned. "Begin Phase 2, Admiral Hayes ordered. Throughout human space, colonies began broadcasting fake distress signals. Emergency messages filled the communication channels. Reports of spreading disease and dying populations reached alien listeners exactly as expected. "This is New Dakota Colony," one fake broadcast announced. "The plague is spreading faster than we can treat it. Half our population is already dead. We need immediate medical assistance." Similar messages came from dozens of human worlds. To alien intelligence services, it looked like their biological weapon was working perfectly. Alien fleets are advancing to second attack positions, reported the tactical officer. They believe our defenses are collapsing. Jake watched the alien ships move closer to human worlds. Korath battleships emerged from hyperspace near Earth itself. Zephyrian cruisers approached the outer colonies. Veil-Tar destroyers positioned themselves around human trade routes. The aliens were exposing themselves completely, confident that humanity was already defeated. "Now comes the real test," Admiral Hayes said. "All human ships, prepare to decloak on my signal." Around every alien fleet, space itself began to shimmer. Invisible human warships powered up their weapons and prepared to reveal themselves. Ships built with stolen alien technology, improved by human engineering, and crewed by soldiers ready to defend their species. "Alien commanders are reporting successful plague deployment," announced Lieutenant Chen. "They believe 90% of humans are already dead or dying." Jake could hardly believe the enemy's arrogance. Even now, as their fleets moved into obvious trap positions, the aliens remained convinced of their superiority. "Signal from the Korath flagship," Chen continued. "They are demanding the surrender of all remaining human forces." Admiral Hayes laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Send them our reply," she ordered. Every human ship in the galaxy suddenly became visible. Thousands of vessels appeared around the shocked alien fleets, ships that should not exist, carrying weapons the aliens had never seen, crewed by humans who were supposed to be dead. The effect was devastating. Alien commanders panicked as their sensors registered human ships where empty space should have been. Their perfect plan had become a perfect disaster. "This is Admiral Lisa Hayes of the Earth Defense Force," came the broadcast that reached every alien ship in the galaxy. "You came here to commit genocide. You failed. Your plague has been neutralized. Your fleets are surrounded. Your plan is exposed to the entire galaxy." Jake watched alien formations break apart as captains tried to flee or fight. But they were outnumbered and outgunned. Human ships had been preparing for this moment for 6 months. "All human fleets, you are authorized to engage," Admiral Hayes continued. "Show them what happens when someone threatens humanity." The space around every alien fleet erupted in weapons fire. Human plasma cannons, particle beams, and gravity torpedoes struck alien ships with devastating effect. The enemy's shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, offered little protection against human innovations. Jake's own ship targeted a Zephyrian cruiser. The UES Vengeance's main gun fired a concentrated burst of antimatter that punched through the alien's crystal hull like it was made of glass. "Direct hit," reported the weapons officer. "Enemy ship is venting atmosphere, all." Across the galaxy, the pattern repeated. Alien ships that had come to destroy defenseless humans found themselves fighting for their lives against an enemy that was supposed to be extinct. "Korath flagship is signaling surrender," reported another human commander. "Zephyrian battle group is attempting to retreat," announced a different voice. "Veil-Tar forces are scattering in all directions," came a third report. The great alien alliance was falling apart. Species that had planned humanity's extinction were now begging for mercy or running for their lives. But the surprises were not over. "Phase 3 is now active," Admiral Hayes announced. On every alien homeworld, hidden human agents revealed themselves. Ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers suddenly bristled with weapons. Space stations that the aliens thought were neutral turned out to be human military bases. Jake watched the tactical display as the true scope of human expansion became clear. Secret colonies revealed themselves throughout alien space. Hidden fleets emerged from asteroid fields and gas clouds. Allies that the aliens had never suspected joined the fight on humanity's side. "The Andromedans are moving against Brutari space," reported intelligence. "The Silicon mines have shut down all computer networks in hexapod territory. The deep swimmers are attacking Veiltar underwater cities." Jake realized that humanity had not just prepared to defend itself, it had prepared to win. Every species that had joined the conspiracy against humans was now facing attacks from enemies they did not know existed. "Incoming communication from Chancellor Krixtal," announced Lieutenant Chen. The Zephyrian leader appeared on screen. His crystal body was cracked and dim. His confident arrogance had been replaced by desperate fear. "Admiral Hayes," Krixtal began, We did not know humans were so advanced. We made a mistake. Perhaps we can negotiate." "Negotiate?" Admiral Hayes replied coldly. "You tried to commit genocide against my species. You planned to murder every human man, woman, and child in the galaxy. And now you want to negotiate?" "We were misinformed about human capabilities," Krixtal said desperately. "We thought, we believed." "You believed we were weak," Admiral Hayes interrupted. "You were wrong. Surrender now, or we will show you exactly how wrong you were." Jake watched as alien fleets throughout the galaxy began broadcasting surrender signals. The species that had planned humanity's extinction were now begging for mercy from the people they had tried to kill. The great alien conspiracy had lasted for years, but it had taken humanity only one day to destroy it completely. "All human forces," Admiral Hayes announced. "The primary threat has been neutralized. Begin security operations. Ensure no alien warships escape to threaten us again." As Jake watched human ships round up the surviving alien vessels, he thought about the words he had heard 6 months ago. The aliens had called humans weak, primitive, and easy to eliminate. They had been wrong about everything. 6 months after the failed alien attack, Jake Morrison stood in the same crystal chamber where he had first learned of the conspiracy against humanity. But everything had changed. The Zephyrian Council chamber was no longer a place where aliens plotted human extinction. Now it served as the headquarters of the Galactic Security Council, with humans in charge. Jake wore the uniform of Galactic Security Coordinator, a position created after humanity's victory. His job was to prevent any future conspiracies against any species in the galaxy. The irony was not lost on him that he now worked in the same room where aliens had planned his people's death. The chamber was filled with alien representatives, but their attitudes were completely different from 6 months ago, where once there had been arrogance and confidence. Now there was humility and fear. The aliens who had planned genocide now sat quietly, waiting for human instructions. Chancellor Krixtal approached Jake's desk. The Zephyrian leader's crystal body was dim and cracked from battle damage. His proud posture had been replaced by nervous submission. "Coordinator Morrison," Krixtal began carefully, "we have received disturbing reports from our outer territories. Long-range sensors detect ships approaching from outside the galaxy. Ships unlike anything we have seen before." Jake looked up. "From his reports." "The Void Hunters?" "Yes," Krixtal replied. "The intelligence we shared indicates they will arrive in this galaxy within 2 years. Their technology appears to be far beyond anything we possess. We request human protection." Jake almost smiled. 6 months ago, this same alien had been planning to murder every human in existence. Now he was begging humans to save his people from an even greater threat. "Tell me about these void hunters," Jake said. Crixtal activated a holographic display. Dark ships appeared in the air, their design unlike anything from the known galaxy. They were massive, predatory vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. They consume entire worlds, Crixtal explained. They strip planets of all life and resources, then move on to the next system. Our deep space monitors have tracked them, destroying 17 civilizations in the nearby dwarf galaxy. Jake studied the images carefully. The Void Hunters were indeed a serious threat. Their ships were larger than anything humans or aliens had built. Their weapons could crack planets in half. Their numbers seemed endless. "What do you propose?" Jake asked. "A united defense," Crixtal said desperately. "All species working together under human leadership. We have seen what humans can accomplish. Only under your command do we stand a chance against this threat." Jake thought about the strange turn of events. The aliens who had tried to destroy humanity were now volunteering to serve under human authority. The conspiracy that was meant to eliminate the human problem had instead made humans the leaders of the galaxy. "I will need to consult with Admiral Hayes," Jake said. "But first, I want to review the current status of galactic defenses." Jake activated his own holographic display. The galaxy appeared before them, marked with defensive positions and fleet deployments. What the display showed would have amazed the old alien council. Human ships patrolled every major space route. Human bases protected key systems throughout the galaxy. Human technology defended worlds that had once been hostile to humanity. In 6 months, humans had become the guardians of galactic civilization. "The defense grid is impressive," Crixtal admitted. "But will it be enough against the Void Hunters?" Before Jake could answer, Admiral Hayes appeared as a hologram. She looked tired but determined. The past 6 months had been busy ones for Earth's military leaders. "Coordinator Morrison," Admiral Hayes began, "I've been reviewing the intelligence, reports about the approaching threat. The Void Hunters are indeed formidable, but they have one critical weakness." "Which is?" Jake asked. "They expect to face divided, competing civilizations," Admiral Hayes explained. "Every galaxy they have conquered was torn apart by internal conflicts, species fighting each other instead of working together. They have never faced a united defense." Jake nodded understanding. The alien conspiracy had failed, but it had accomplished something unexpected. It had forced all galactic species to choose sides, and most had chosen to work with humans rather than against them. "What are our total defensive capabilities?" Crixtal asked nervously. Admiral Hayes smiled. "Impressive and growing daily. We now have the combined fleets of 47 species under unified command. Our research teams are developing new weapons based on technologies from across the galaxy. Our intelligence network spans 3 galaxies." Jake pulled up another display showing production statistics. The numbers were staggering. Human shipyards were building vessels faster than ever before. Alien worlds were contributing resources and manpower. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working side by side. "The Korath have provided heavy assault ships," Jake read from his reports. "The Veiltar are sharing their mental defense techniques. The hexapods have offered their biological research. Even the Brutari are contributing their warrior skills." "Why are they all cooperating?" Crixtal asked, though Jake suspected he already knew the answer. "Because they have seen what happens when they work against humanity," Admiral Hayes replied. bluntly. Your conspiracy taught the galaxy an important lesson. Humans are not weak. We are not primitive. And we do not forget when someone tries to harm our people. Jake remembered the aftermath of the failed alien attack. The trials had been broadcast throughout the galaxy. Every species had watched as the conspiracy leaders faced judgment for their attempted genocide. The sentences had been fair, but firm. Some conspirators faced prison. Others were banned from holding positions of authority. All had been forced to make reparations for their crimes. But we also showed mercy, Jake added. We could have destroyed every species that opposed us. Instead, we offered them a chance to make amends, to prove they could be trusted as allies instead of enemies. And most have chosen to prove themselves, Admiral Hayes continued. They have seen that humans prefer cooperation to conquest. They want to be part of our success rather than victims of our anger. A new voice joined the conversation. General Patricia Stone appeared as another hologram. She was calling from the Outer Rim, where human forces were establishing the first line of defense against the Void Hunters. Coordinators, General Stone began, I have an update from the advanced scouts. The Andromedans have made contact with survivors from the dwarf galaxy. We now have detailed intelligence about Void Hunter tactics and weaknesses. What have we learned? Jake asked. The Void Hunters are not invincible, General Stone replied. They rely on fear and division among their enemies. When civilizations panic and scatter, the Hunters pick them off one by one. But united resistance can stop them. Jake felt a surge of hope. Do we have examples? One, General Stone confirmed. A small alliance in the Magellanic Cloud held out for 3 years before finally being overwhelmed. They were only 12 species with limited technology. We have 47 species with the most advanced military in galactic history. Admiral Hayes leaned forward. What do we need to prepare? Time and resources, General Stone replied. The Hunters will arrive in approximately 18 months. We need every shipyard working at maximum capacity, every world contributing to the defense effort, every species committed to the fight. Crixtall spoke up nervously. What if some species refuse to help? What if they try to hide or make separate deals with the Hunters? Jake and Admiral Hayes exchanged a look. This was exactly the kind of thinking that had led to the conspiracy against humanity. Then they will learn the same lesson you learned, Admiral Hayes said firmly. Divided. We are all vulnerable. United under human leadership, we are strong enough to face any threat. Including the Void Hunters? Crixtall asked. Especially the Void Hunters, Jake replied. They have never faced anything like what we are. Building a truly unified galactic defense. Every species working together. Every world contributing to our strength. Every citizen knowing that they are part of something greater than themselves. Jake activated a final display showing the planned defense network, fortress worlds protected strategic systems. Mobile fleets could respond to threats anywhere in the galaxy. Communication networks allowed instant coordination across vast distances. Supply lines ensured that defenders would never run out of resources. This is what you created when you conspired against humanity, Jake told Crixtall. You forced us to reveal our true capabilities. You made us take leadership of the galaxy. You united every species under human command. We never intended, Crixtall began. No, you intended to commit genocide, Admiral Hayes interrupted. Instead, you saved the galaxy. The Void Hunters would have found us divided and helpless. Instead, they will find us united and prepared. Jake stood and walked to the large window overlooking the Zephyrian capital. The city below bustled with activity as aliens and humans worked together to prepare defenses. Ships from dozens of species filled the sky, all bearing the symbol of the Galactic Defense Force. "You called us the human problem?" Jake said without turning around. "You were right, in a way. We are a problem for anyone who threatens innocent people. We are a problem for bullies and tyrants. We are a problem for anyone who thinks genocide is an acceptable solution." He turned back to face the assembled aliens. "But we are also the solution to D." The Alien Council moved to their next topic. Jake Morrison listened as they began to discuss what they thought were human weaknesses. What he heard made him want to laugh and cry at the same time. These aliens knew so little about humans. General Thraktos of the Brutari stood up. He was even bigger than the Korath, with thick gray skin covered in bone spikes. His species was known for their strength and brutality. "Humans are pathetically weak," Thraktos growled. "I have seen their bodies. They have no claws, no natural armor, no poison. Their bones break easily. Their skin tears like paper. A single Brutari warrior could kill 10 humans with his bare hands." The other aliens nodded in agreement. Jake bit his tongue to keep from laughing. General Thraktos had obviously never met a human soldier. He had never seen what humans could do when properly trained and equipped. "Their physical limitations are severe," added a snake-like alien called a Viperian. "They can only survive in a very narrow range of temperatures. Too hot and they die. Too cold and they die. They need exactly the right amount of oxygen. They cannot eat most foods in the galaxy without getting sick." Jake thought about the human colonies he had visited. New Dakota, where humans worked in gravity almost twice as strong as Earth's. The miners on Titan Station, who spent months at a time in the frozen outer system. The deep-sea farmers on Aquatica, who had learned to breathe underwater using artificial gills. The aliens were using old information. They had studied humans 50 years ago and never updated their knowledge. They had no idea how much humans had changed and adapted. "The worst part is their technology," said a floating gas creature called an Arion. "They still use chemical rockets to move their ships. They still fight with metal bullets. They still communicate with radio waves. It is like watching children play with toys." Jake almost smiled. The Arion had no idea that human ships now used gravity drives stolen from crashed alien vessels. He did not know about the plasma weapons humans had developed. He certainly did not know about the quantum communication networks that could send messages instantly across the galaxy. Humans had been very good at keeping their technological advances secret. While the aliens thought they were watching everything, humans had been hiding their best work in secret research facilities. "Their military is especially pathetic," said the Veiltar whisper. "They have no warrior culture. They train soldiers to think instead of fight. They waste time with things like mercy and honor. Real warriors know that only victory matters." Jake remembered his own training. The whisper was right that humans taught soldiers to think. But she was wrong about everything else. Human soldiers were taught to be flexible, creative, and resourceful. They learned to fight smart instead of just fighting hard. The aliens valued strength and aggression, but humans had learned that intelligence and teamwork were often more important. A smart human with good equipment could defeat a stronger enemy who was not prepared. "They cannot even agree among themselves," laughed the Hexapod Queen. "Humans fight each other over stupid things like religion and politics. They waste their energy on internal conflicts instead of preparing for real threats." This made Jake angry. Yes, humans sometimes disagreed, but when faced with an outside threat, They came together like no other species in the galaxy. The aliens were about to learn that lesson the hard way. Chancellor Crixtal activated another holographic display. It showed human ships and weapons from 5 years ago. Everything was obsolete and outdated. "Look at their warships," he said. "Slow, clumsy, and poorly armed. Our smallest fighters could destroy their largest battleships. Our shields can stop any weapon they have. Our sensors can detect their ships from light years away." Jake knew the truth. Human ship design had changed completely in the last 3 years. The new vessels used alien technology combined with human engineering. They were faster, stronger, and more advanced than anything the aliens expected. "What about their intelligence? Services?" asked the Korath commander. "Do they know we are watching them?" "Impossible," said the Whisper confidently. "Humans are too trusting. They think everyone in the galaxy wants peace. They have no concept of deception or long-term planning. Their spies are amateurs who could never infiltrate our operations." Jake touched the cloaking device that made him invisible. Human intelligence had stolen this technology from the aliens and improved it. Right now, he was sitting in their most secure facility, recording their most secret plans. But they were too arrogant to believe it was possible. "The humans also lack proper leadership," said a crystalline creature called a prismatic. "Their governments change every few years. Their military leaders are chosen by politics instead of ability. They cannot make long-term plans because their leaders never stay in power long enough." The aliens did not understand human democracy. They thought it was weak because power changed hands peacefully. They did not realize that this system created leaders who had to earn their positions instead of inheriting them. "Most importantly," said Chancellor Crixtal, "humans have no real allies. They think they have friends among other species, but those are just trade relationships. When we attack, no one will help them. They will stand alone." Jake thought about the hidden alliances humans had been building. Not just trade agreements, but real partnerships with species the aliens knew nothing about. Humans had been exploring the galaxy much more than the aliens realized. The discussion continued with more examples of supposed human weakness. The aliens talked about human emotions as if they were a disease. They mocked human art and culture. They laughed at human attempts at diplomacy. What they did not understand was that these weaknesses were actually strengths. Human emotions made them fight harder to protect their families. Human culture gave them something worth dying for. Human diplomacy had created bonds that the aliens could not see. "There is one thing that worries me," said a cautious voice. It belonged to a small, furry creature called a Skritan. "Humans adapt very quickly to new situations. They learn from their mistakes. What if our attack does not kill all of them?" "Impossible," said General Thraktos firmly. "Our plan is perfect. We will hit every human world at the same time. We will destroy their fleets before they can react. We will kill their leaders before they can organize resistance. Any survivors will be scattered and helpless." "But humans are unpredictable," the Skritan continued. "They do not fight the way we expect. They find new solutions to old problems. They use unconventional tactics." "You worry too much," said the hexapod queen. "We have been studying humans for years. We know exactly how they will react. They will panic, then try to negotiate, then surrender when they realize they cannot win. It is the human way." Jake almost laughed out loud. These aliens had studied humans, but they had learned all the wrong lessons. They saw human diplomacy as weakness, not realizing it was often a tactic to buy time and gather information. They saw human flexibility as confusion, not understanding it was adaptability. The worst part was their confidence. They were so sure they understood humans that they had stopped looking for new information. They based their entire plan on outdated assumptions and wishful thinking. "The human problem will be solved in 6 months," declared Chancellor Crickstall. "After that, we can divide their territory and resources among ourselves. The galaxy will finally be free of their contamination." Say, other aliens cheered and roared their approval. They were already planning victory celebrations. They had no idea that their weak and primitive enemies were about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. Jake continued recording everything. Soon, his people would know exactly what they were facing. And then, these arrogant aliens would learn what humans were really capable of when their survival was threatened. The galaxy was about to change forever, but not in the way the aliens expected.